Brother-in-law gave me this giant spool of copper wire. It's like single cable, single strand, thick wire. Weren't able to use it for what their project was, but told them I have a project in mind. I'm hoping this system works a little better. Basically, I protected the bark of the tree with a thick blanket, and I stretched this copper wire tight so I can just run my knife right alongside it all the way down, and hopefully I'll be able to peel all that cord right off. In exchange for 40 pounds of copper wire, I told my brother-in-law I'd make him an anthill. His name's Audie. That worked flawlessly. In my mind, I thought I was just going to add these pieces in a big clump. It turned out I had to add them one by one. I first put several of the big coiled sections of the wire, but it was a pretty thick gauge and I couldn't hardly use a sledgehammer to pound them flat, so they took up a lot of volume. I had to cut them into smaller sections so I could add them in there one by one, like you see here. Alright, so right now we have molten copper. Now copper melts at nearly 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit. Really hot. It's 3 to 4 times hotter than your stove top. Have you heard the story of the Chinese farmer? The farmer says to his friend, "My horse ran away." His friend says, "That's a tragedy." And he says, "Well, maybe." The next day, the Chinese farmer tells his friend 7 wild horses returned. And he says, "That's amazing." And the Chinese farmer says, "Well, maybe." The following day, the Chinese farmer says, "My son broke his leg riding one of those wild horses." His friend says, "That's a tragedy." The farmer says, "Well, maybe." The 4th day, the Chinese army came looking for recruits, and they saw his son with a broken leg, and they would not recruit him. His friend says, "That's amazing." And he says, "Well, maybe." The moral of the story is, you don't know if something's good news or bad news until time takes its place. Alright, there was a little residual copper left in my crucible, so what I decided was to look for a tiny anthill. And I think we found one, and hopefully it's the perfect size for the amount of metal that we have left over here. Maybe we'll at least be able to see some of the chambers inside of it if we're lucky. We'll give Audie this one. That's all the copper we have. Looks like it might work out. Let's try to do a light sprinkle on it. It appears like it's hardened. If that's hot. What the fuck? Okay. That's.
I didn't think this one, you did.
I don't understand what happened.
Huh?
Audie, we got you an ant structure. Round 2.
That one's gonna be better.
Probably. It did move, so. Oh, way better.
It looks like a lima bean.
There's my gold rock. And the one that I thought was going to be the worst one turned out to be the better one. Thought it would look good in here too. So that's what we got. Even though the anthill structure didn't turn out like I'd hoped, I still love this rock and the experience I had building this creation. I hope y'all enjoyed this video. We'll see you next time on Crafted Metal. Peace.